Good morning. It is 9 o'clock and we are going to call the special meeting of the Gilliam County Budget Committee meeting to order. We have Grant, Chris, Sherry, and Leah here present in the room, and Wally is online. We are only missing Brad, so we do have a quorum present today. So let's get started. The compensation board met and has recommended an increase to the sheriff's office salary schedule. And according to statute, the budget committee must approve any changes to an elected official's salary. So we are here today to approve that request. And I will get my screen share started here so that we can see the salary. Is there any discussion that we want to just start up while I try and figure out how to share my screen?
Is there some history from the compensation board of what prompted this?
Yes. So Gary gave a presentation during the compensation board meeting about his position, and I think, Gary, do you want to give a quick summary of your presentation for the budget committee?
Yep. So summary is going to be hard, but I will do the best that I can. So
The long version if you want.
okay. And I know Judge Satno and Commissioner Watkins have heard this once already. First of all, thank you and congratulations, Commissioner. Welcome. The office of sheriff is a position I hold in extreme reverence, having served in the office as your sheriff for 19 years. Began my career in 1999 as a reserve deputy. The sheriff's office was hired full-time deputy 2001 under Sheriff Parker, who promoted me to under sheriff, and in 2005, upon his retirement, I became your sheriff. In January, I'll be the longest serving sheriff in Oregon, and I have an advanced certificate and certified for 23 years. There are 110 statutes in Oregon which mandate the duties of sheriff. Once elected, the sheriff is responsible for the statutorily mandated duties, which include being the chief executive officer and conservator of the peace of the county. Upon the sheriff's authority, arresting, committing to prison all persons who break the peace or attempt to break it, and all persons guilty of public offenses. Defending the county against those who by right or otherwise endanger the public peace or safety. Execute the process and orders of the courts of justice or of judicial officers when delivered to the sheriff for that purpose according to law. Attend upon call the Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, Oregon Tax Court, Circuit Court, Justice Court, or County Court held within the county and obey its lawful orders or directions. Keep and maintain a jail for the county, transport prisoners for court proceedings, provide security to the Circuit Court and Justice Court in the county, keep and maintain search and rescue for the county, conduct sales of tax delinquent properties in the county, serve civil process. There are several other duties we do in the office, such as concealed handgun licensing, fingerprinting, commercial truck registration, boat registration, criminal investigations, animal control, and maintain a gun range. Although we don't own one, but we assist in maintaining. Items that are under the control of the county court but have been assigned to the sheriff's office: emergency management, which, as you well know, is extremely busy at the moment, parole and probation, and fire services. We hold contracts with the city of Arlington, city of Condon for patrol contracts, and BLM lands. We also have dispatch in the jail under the sheriff's office. As you may know, our jail and dispatch are regional facilities with 4 partnering counties. Bridgeville Regional 911 manages a total budget of $4.6 million, of which Gilliam County contributes $525,000 The agency has 13 positions that are required to operate 24/7, 365. I have served as board chair and not so long ago as interim director for 14 months prior to the hire of our current director. I remain the sheriff with the direct oversight of the communications center and direct supervision of the director. Norcor manages a total budget of $7.4 million. Gilliam County contributes $208,400. This does not include the juvenile side. On the adult side, we have a staff of 33 corrections personnel and 14 shared staff. The 4-member sheriffs are directly responsible for the operations of the facility and take care of the sheriff's board. Court security manages a total budget of $175,500. Fund expenditures are approved by the circuit court presiding judge. Sheriff is responsible for all court security, and because of the courtroom in the courthouse, also responsible for courthouse security and security systems. Fire services manage a total budget of $361,300. The sheriff was appointed by the court many years ago to be the county representative on the fire services board. I am currently the board chair. Gilliam Wheeler County Corrections manages a total budget of $401,000. This department falls under the county court's responsibility who assigned to the sheriff's office. Parole and probation is fully funded through the state of Oregon. I'm reading fast.
Thank you.
We have an agreement with Wheeler County Sheriff and manage their. Gilliam County Sheriff's Office manages a total budget of $2.1 million, and we currently have 12 team members. In total, I am directly responsible for or a part of management of $3.6 million of Gilliam County funds. Revenues through direct fees, justice, reinvestment grants, and homeland security grants. The sheriff's office received about $134,000 last budget cycle. Contracts with the cities of BLM, $52,000. Through the justice court citations, fully staffed, we are on course to generate $340,000 to $360,000. This revenue is not any part of goal setting and mandatory citation issuance. It's just what it is. Total revenue from the sheriff's office could be as much as $536,000. Retention, I figured out ways we've had problems with retention and having a full staff. I think I've hopefully got that figured out by creating incentives and allowing people to join the detectives drug task force team, Columbia Gorge, and join the tactical team called NORTAC. Obviously, safety is a major part of what we do, how we do it. Emergency response, we respond to all fire and EMS calls. We've been on the fire ground every day during this event. Vehicles and maintenance is a constant for us, finding a manufacturer that we can keep the vehicles running. Technology and upgrades, thank God for Under Sheriff Flory for keeping us up to date in that stuff, because as you probably all know, I don't have a good understanding of that. Keeping up on our equipment and training needs. We are involved with all aspects of the community, citizens, industry, business, schools, cities, new construction, all of those types of things for safety and crime prevention. I've been involved with the Oregon State Sheriff's Association since I started my career. My commitment to the organization and my community took me to being OSSA president in 2015. My fellow sheriffs, Oregon sheriffs, felt I was worthy and honored by voting me Sheriff of the Year in 2017. I currently serve on OSSA's Budget and Western States Committee. I chair the Bylaws Committee, as well as the Injured and Fallen Deputy Committee, and I chair the Livestock and Cattlemen's Committee and chair Nominating Committee. I've been appointed to the State of Oregon Fallen Law Enforcement Memorial Committee and the Governor's Commission on the Law Enforcement Medal of Honor. I've gone through all the seats of the executive board for Western State Sheriff's Association, and I'm currently the president. In 2020, I was honored to receive the Sheriff of the Year award with Western States. I chair the Fiscal and Bylaws committees, and we work with BLM, OSHA, Forest Service, and Border Security are our top functions there. And looking at the County Compensation Board, I see I'm not going to go through that. But the reason for this segment is just to kind of give you a general idea of what managers in the county. I didn't take anybody's job that requires a master's degree or a doctorate, obviously, but I think after 19 years of experience in this job, that's worthy of something. A wind farm manager is somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000. I could never nail that down. Waste management managers are between 110 to 147,000. Our Frontier Regional 911 director, this budget is at $142,000. The assistant director, position that got denied. The Northport jail commander makes $136,700 now. And the top step for that position is $158,000. Northport captain is $118,000. Northport business manager, $116,000, and the Northport lieutenant, $110,000, which is the proposal for my wage this year. Gilliam County Sheriff, $106,000. Well, let's see, proposed $110,000, $160,000. My undersheriff is at $102,000. And again, I just point out that direct supervisor of Northport and Frontier. So a lot of the reason for this was because I have people working under me that I directly supervise that are making a lot more. As Sheriff of Gilliam County, I've served with this distinction and honor. With Gilliam County and rural Oregon as my primary focus, I have engaged in countless committees to further the rights and freedoms of Eastern Oregonians, representing them in legislative committees on both the Oregon State Sheriff's Association and Western State Sheriff's Association. And this is an area where I don't get into a lot, but the things that wear on a person in this profession, in all law enforcement, not just sheriffs, but are always being super vigilant, worrying about staff that they may get hurt or killed, a public perception, all the liabilities, conducting death notifications to family members at early morning hours, being on call all hours of day and night, being advised of all deaths, seemingly endless hours, meeting all hours of morning, afternoon, and evenings. The inability to please everyone, responding to emergency call where a person is injured or killed, going to abuse or neglect calls, especially when it involves children, or having to physically take a child from the parent, seizing severely abused animals, and having to always worry about your safety and well-being. This is not just the sheriff, it's all law enforcement. The roles in law enforcement continue to evolve and have become increasingly complex. The rules of order and the risk of liability require the sheriff to maintain an increased and ever vigilant education related to current events and continually changing case law. The role of sheriff has become much more than law enforcement officer and manager of the agency. It has become akin to that of a legal professional, caseworker, crisis worker, social worker, project manager, strategic planner, finance expert, and overall juggler of unknown tasks. The position of sheriff does not have the benefit of going home at the end of the workday and turning off the phone or shutting the public out. The sheriff is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. This position does not get a regular reprieve from the duties and stresses of the job. And even when I plan vacation, the risk and liability of the office looms overhead. Thank you. How was that?
That was great. Thank you. Thank you. So does anyone have any questions for Gary? Sheriff Betancourt?
I don't think I can.
Were you guys getting, yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I was gonna see if Wally was participating or not. Do we not have communication with Wally?
Wally, are you out there?
If he's on his phone, then. *6.
*6 to unmute if you're on the phone, Wally. I see there's someone with the 509 number. The person that was joined at the beginning, with Wally's name is no longer there.
He's no longer there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any comments in the room?
I didn't know, Leah, were you gonna say something, Leah? I didn't.
No.
Just getting into this and I thank you for everything you do, and I understand a lot more of how much more I did not know that you do. And it looks like, yes, definitely that needed to be adjusted. I guess kind of a question is, seemed like it was kind of behind a few years ago too. I'm just trying to get a sense of why.
I think, this is just my thoughts.
Okay.
I think the county puts a lot of emphasis on the union contract. And as you know, since COVID, inflation has skyrocketed. I mean, just look at your insurance,
Right.
grocery prices at the store,
Right.
gas prices, all those things, and we just don't keep up
Okay.
with inflation. The one other thing that early on, not in recent years, but we always compared ourselves to Sherman County. But who's to say that Sherman County is keeping up?
Right.
So anyway, I just feel that it's time, and I mean, the last year at least, the elected officials got a percentage less than employees. And I get the message, and things like that, but at some point, you have to get up to date. And I told the compensation board last year that I'm 2.5 years from retiring, and, part of it is that too, to be honest. So,
Well, in order to, bring in a new sheriff when you retire, are we competitive enough in our salary to actually bring someone in that would be qualified to?
yeah, the committees and boards and whatnot that I sit on where, replacements brought in, our dispatch director, I've heard the comment, we're not gonna get anybody for that.
Yeah.
We have to up that, and, so I've heard that comment quite a bit, in the last year at least.
That could be a problem.
No, I was just, like I say, I just looked at some of the information and like I say, jumping in and like Morrow County, they're, I think 133. I pulled something up on there.
Yeah.
But looking at some of the, like Sherman, some of the closer counties with population and stuff, I was kind of surprised on where they were at with their numbers too.
Yeah, and the other thing to take into account, Wheeler County, Harney, Wallowa, all those counties that we get compared to, they pay what they can pay. They don't
Right.
have the economy like Gilliam County has.
Right.
And, there's another department within the county that I have always thought was underpaid, and I can't figure out. Of course, it's not my decision, but, pay your people what they're worth, and, you can. Well, like our staff we're fully staffed now, and I think it has a lot to do with the pay, especially for somebody starting out. And, I don't know how to find, a spouse for, our 20-something men and women that come to work here, but
Yeah.
At least, there's avenues for them to go down, and I've incentivized the detective position and the tactical position. And I think that'll help keep people, but in coordination with what they're getting paid.
Let's make sure he has a chance to speak.
Yeah, I see Wally's back on. Wally, did you have anything to add to the conversation or questions for Gary?
No, I have no comments. Thank you.
The only other thing I had, this is the first time I saw this, but this was the recommendation from the concept. Okay, and then we have option A and B.
Yeah, it was requested that I add those options
okay.
on there just to see how different salary schedules would
Okay.
look.
All right.
And the compensation board looked at those too. Because I have to throw in, because those options were given, that, like I said, again, the Northport director, Frontier Region 911 director are making substantially. Even at 140, I would still be under them, so.
So you're supervising people who are making more money than you, is what you're stating. Okay,
Which
I've been there.
I'll continue to supervise them and do my job well, but it's just something to look at when you get older, yes.
Okay,
Anyway, thank you.
thank you. Any other thoughts or input? What are your thoughts, Julie?
You just appointed Tori to undersheriff, correct?
Pardon?
Tori just went up to undersheriff, you? And there's
July
that
1st.
price range in between you and the undersheriff too, that you
Well,
gotta keep
yeah,
ahead.
10,000.
Okay.
So nobody in the sheriff's office can make, has to be within $10,000 less than the sheriff.
Okay.
And that's at what range, or is that under sheriff?
No, I'm gonna have you say that.
Okay. All right.
He's at 102 in his proposed
Okay.
budget. We did the proposed in March 2nd.
All right. Anything else?
And I have the spreadsheet up there on the share screen. If anyone would like to see some other numbers plugged in there, I can plug some other numbers in to calculate the step schedule. It's up to you guys.
Okay,
Do we have enough room in the budget?
Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend doing a supplemental right away, no matter what you guys decide today, because the sheriff's office is a total appropriation for all expenses.
Okay.
So I think we should be able to stay within the appropriations, and later on in the year, if we find that that's a problem,
Because we're budgeted on the high side for a lot of them.
maybe. But as the year goes on, if we see that the budget's starting to get too tight and we're gonna go over, then that's when I would recommend a supplemental budget.
Okay, so then I'm confused because I thought we were here because we needed a supplemental. budget.
No, we're here because the budget committee has to approve a change in an elected official's salary.
Okay, because we've already
Yeah.
approved the 110 in the budget.
Yes, yeah. And the,
3.5, but nothing above that.
Yeah.
3.5%.
To elected officials.
yes, elected officials only.
It's
The,
a requirement within the ORS of elected officials that go for the budget committee, whereas if it was like a different department who was getting an increase, it wouldn't have to come to you guys unless it was a supplemental budget.
And this adopted schedule contains the 3.5%, is that correct?
yes, yeah, yep, the top row does include the 3.5%.
What we got.
To me, supervising people, that are making more is significant, and we need to correct that, I think.
Like I say, I've been there and it's kind of demeaning to be in charge of people who are making more money.
Right.
Well, I would move that we adopt the recommended schedule for the sheriff, which was recommended by the compensation board.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries.
Carries.
Okay, that was all the business we had before us today, so we will go ahead and close the budget committee meeting, and the regular county court meeting isn't scheduled to start until 10 a.m. So we are going to just mute ourselves and stop the video, and we will reconvene on the same Zoom meeting at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh.
Okay, we're ready when you are.
Okay, going to be calling the meeting to order of the Gilliam County Court. We have established a quorum. Grant Wilkins has been sworn in. And he is currently a county court member. He was sworn in earlier. We will now have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just, first of all, wanted to put my thoughts out to Lone Rock and to the Lone Rock Fire. Our sheriff told us during our budget committee meeting that 72,000 acres have burned. So our thoughts are with Lone Rock, all that's been lost, and hopefully it gets contained. Because it's gone into Morrow and Wheeler County now. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda? No, from either commissioner? Okay, we'll now have public comment. Individuals wishing to address the county court may do so at this time and at other times throughout the meeting. Speakers are asked to raise your hand to be recognized by the chair, give name and address, and limit comments to 3 minutes. I do have a list. And we can go ahead and just go through that list at this time. You can come up and take a seat. The first one we have is Haley Potter.
And I'm wondering, do you want me to comment now or wait until we get?
I think it probably would be better to wait. We'll just handle all of the matters involving the funding for the operational support at once, and we'll handle the comment at that point in time. I also have Sarah Kirby, and you're also with on the funding, Carrie Wade with the funding, Jeremy Kirby, funding, Eva Kilkenny. Did you have anything to say? Okay, Stephen Allen, anything to say?
I would like to prior to the.
On the funding, okay. And then Margaret Atkins. We will discuss, Margaret, we will discuss yours during the Honker's Nest licensing update, okay? Is there any other public comment? All right, we'll go into consideration of approval of the consent agenda. The matters on the consent agenda include regular meeting minutes of June 26th, bills pending review, approval of CAPECO mill site management services agreement, Gilliam County Transportation Advisory Committee bylaws update, Gilliam County Transportation Title 6 policy plan, and approval of amendment number 1 to intergovernmental agreement with Department of Corrections. Do we have a motion for approval?
Commissioner Watkins and Judge Patton, I would just like to mention and state that I would like to abstain from voting on just the consent agenda. Just
Because you weren't here,
Yes.
is that why?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I got a message, was our public comment online?
okay.
No, there's just a few people that would like to speak when we get to the early learning center grant funding.
All right.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I will second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. To the matter of unfinished business, consider approval of salary increase for Gilliam County Sheriff and correction to county judge salary. I will need to recuse myself or declare a conflict of interest, excuse me, on the consideration of the correction to county judge's salary. And I'm going to allow Kelly Smith to address the board on this.
So the compensation board met after the budget committee had met this year, which is a little out of the ordinary. And so the compensation board had recommended an increase to the sheriff's salary, but according to ORS, an increase to an elected official's salary has to be approved by the budget committee first. So the budget committee met this morning and agrees with the recommendation to increase the sheriff's salary. So we will need to just adopt a new salary schedule schedule to reflect that change. No supplemental budget will need to be done at this time because we think we can still stay within the regular appropriations for the sheriff's office. If it needs to be looked at again later before the end of the year, then we can take that up at that point in time. And then the judge's salary, there was a mistake in the salary schedule that got attached to the court packet for the last court meeting. And the incorrect copy of the elected official salary schedule was attached there. And it reflected the judge's position changing from full-time to part-time in January. And that is no longer the case. That's not the plan. The judge's position is going to stay full-time. So we need to amend that salary schedule to reflect the judge as being paid as a full-time employee throughout the year. So let me share the screen and show a copy of the schedule we will be adopting. Give me just a second here. Can't talk and do at the same time, sorry. So this reflects the judge staying at the same salary throughout the entire year. The one originally adopted at the last meeting had the judge at this position through the end of the current calendar year, and then changing to the commissioner's rate at the beginning of the 2025 calendar year. And so we just need to correct that. That was not the intention.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? No discussion? No. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the salary schedule for the sheriff and the judge's position as presented, and to direct staff to incorporate these salaries into the salary schedule for elected officials.
I'll second.
Okay, and will not be voting, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is consider approval of planning department services, City of Boardman intergovernmental agreement. Carla McLean is here. Would you like to come up and then you can also introduce?
Yeah, so, Carla McLean, city's address is, I can never remember, 200 City Center Circle, Boardman, PO Box 229. And then I also want to introduce Stephanie Case. She's our new hire. She started, actually Monday. So this is day 3 for her. But when we started this conversation, the city, kind of get you mostly up to speed, I think, here. The city started the process to create a position. Stephanie at the city fills the position of principal planner. And the job description that we created for that specifically identifies that one of her primary duties is to function as the Gilliam County Planning Director. So this IGA makes all of that effective and good on our side and for you all. I will share that I did work for Morrow County for 18 years, 17 of those as the planning director, so I understand counties. I'm not going to profess to understand everything I need to know about your county because we're all very different. And even though it's just there and not very far away, it's a little bigger, it's a little different, you know, it has some different issues. You guys don't have any forest land, we did. I mean, it's just, you know, there's things that are similar and then there are things that are very, very different. Stephanie also hails from almost 10 years in the county planning department at Morrow County. So she has a real good understanding of the types of land use actions that that you see come through. Partitions, approval of farm dwellings, renewable energy. We have a landfill, you have a landfill, yours a little bigger, yours a little different, but it's not that those types of issues are foreign to us. Obviously, there's a lot of specifics that we'll have to get up to speed on, and that'll be under my direction, but mostly the person you're going to see day to day, and they'll be primarily interacting with on those day-to-day client-based activities will be Stephanie. So that's what I would share a little bit about me and her. Happy to answer questions about the IGA. I, of course, started the process with the previous judge. We've kind of finished it with the current judge. Legal on both sides has taken a look at it. We made one final quick edit, to a word, reasonable for actual, and I think we're very supportive of the IGA as it's in front of you today. Once you guys make that decision and execute it, we'll follow up on our side and we'll have a fully executed IGA and we'll get busy.
So when will we be looking forward to seeing?
Yeah,
on
I think in the next week.
it? Okay.
My intent, after we kind of was like, okay, I think we got the IGA, your judge sent an email and said, yeah, now we need to talk about, I think around a half a dozen items in that email. It's like, yeah, and I probably have a half dozen to add to the list. So we're just gonna try to sit down and have a meeting with the judge, hopefully in the next week, figure out kind of what an initial schedule looks like. And this is gonna be trial and error. I mean, I don't know exactly, how often we'll be in town, so to speak, but we will be available by phone, by Teams, by Zoom as needed. One of the items that the judge identified was you have a vacancy on the planning commission. So we're gonna need to get up to speed on, well, who is the planning commission? When do they meet? How does that all work? Hopefully your planning commission or our planning commission doesn't conflict, but we'll figure that out too. So, yeah, I don't know that I have all of the answers. I think that's the kind of the next level of conversation that we need to engage in. Yeah.
So the IGA has gone to Jeremy Green. He did review it. And then we sent it back to the city of Boardman. The city of Boardman ran by their legal. We just had those changes that were in blue, which are fairly minor changes. The attorney said that it was a good agreement. So are there any questions about what's included here?
I only had one question about the concern about the vehicle and that we're providing and per se county employee liability, whatever, but some attorneys.
Yeah, attorney-
So.
Looked it over and that's an allowable arrangement, correct, John?
Yeah.
As long as we notify you
Yeah.
who's driving our vehicle.
Yeah.
It's under an IGA, okay?
It's spelled out in the IDA, but
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner Watkins? Okay. Anything else?
No, but just want you to know, I'm available if any of the three of you or other staff have questions, I'm available by email or phone at City Hall in Boardman, Monday through Friday, pretty much 8 to 5. So we're here to provide a good level of service to the residents of Gilliam County. We've got some learning to do, but I think we're both really looking forward to it. So
I do want to clarify that Matt Davis from Wheeler County is on through August if we need him. So we do have that.
we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that time for transition.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely. Through August sounds really good to me.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I called him because I thought it would just be through July, and so I said, is August okay? And he said yes, so. Okay, are we ready?
You ready?
Yep, do you have the motion?
I'll move to approve the planning department services intergovernmental agreement with the city of Boardman and authorize the county judge to prepare and execute the agreement reflecting the same.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Well, we
Thank
look
you.
forward to doing
Okay.
business with you. I think we're gonna hang out, listen, one or two items on your agenda.
Okay.
Before we leave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad we got it settled. Now the work begins.
Now the real work begins.
Yes, now the work begins. Okay. We are to agenda item 5.3, and this is operational support grants. Condon Early Learning Center, Summit Springs Village, Envision Eye Care for All, and South Gilliam County Health District. I'm gonna allow, let's start with the spreadsheet. And
Yep.
then we'll go ahead and, we got it.
Okay, so I'll just do a quick once over on the spreadsheet here of the grant committee's recommendations. And we did have a little change to our recommendation for the Early Learning Center. So the grant committee has recommended a partial funding for the South Gilliam Health District at 75,000. The Arlington Child Care, we would like to set aside the 270,000 until, they have their licensing, ready, once they get their licensing taken care of, and then we'd like them to either reapply or reconvene the committee to consider that funding again. The Early Learning Center, we have recommended the funding in $420,435. And the reasoning for that is because in the grant program guidelines, there's a cap of $1 million for the operational grants. And the total request came to $1,029,565. So we've deducted the $29,565 from the Early Learning Center's request. And we recommend to fund 300,000 of it now and the remainder upon the actual start of the expansion project. But since there's been some delays with the project, we just thought it'd be good to fund at the point the project is started. And then Summit Springs Village, we've stuck with our $75,000 recommendation, and Envision Eye Care for All, we recommended to fully fund at $9,565.
I would like to state that I am in support of fully funding South Gilliam Park District as well as Summit Springs Village. And I'm in support of the Condon Early Learning Center final recommendation of the grant committee, and Envision Eye Care for All as well. And also for the Honker's Nest, once their licensing is in place, my thoughts are that they would come back for a new application. So those are my thoughts. So we can go ahead and go into public comment if we would like to do that. So let's do that and then we'll discuss.
There was still money left in the Honker's Nest from the last grant cycle, I believe.
Yes.
Do you know how much that was, Kelly?
I do not. I'm not aware of that.
I don't want to say the wrong number.
Okay.
Yes, there is
Okay.
funds still available that were spending originally.
Was it like
60,
50 or
yeah, somewhere in that
75,000?
range.
Okay.
I don't want to put a number on it, but yeah, less than 100,000, more than 50,000.
Okay.
That was from last year, but
Yeah.
Did that grant,
It was withheld for various reasons.
has that grant agreement expired at this point? I think they usually ended at the end of the fiscal year.
They do, but a lot of times they will, make a request to,
Okay. We didn't get a request.
Okay.
Okay.
but they were also had
Sorry.
nobody there to.
That's true.
Okay.
Okay, Candy Potter.
I'm Candy Potter, the director of the Common Early Learning Center. And I prepared a statement based off of the previous recommendation that 350 be provided to us instead of 450. So I'll pivot a little bit with some of my comments, and I thank you guys very much for considering the information that we provided that you might not have had from the previous quarter. I just wanted to say a few things maybe for the community members that might be listening to have a better understanding of kind of what might be happening with our expansion or what's taking place. First, I think I was so, I'm gonna read.
Okay.
Having family and childhood memories here in Arlington, Miclo, and Condon, I chose Gilliam County to start a new life as a single mother back in 2016. I relied heavily on the Condon child care for after school and Friday care for my young child. And without it, I don't know that I would have been able to advance to the position I am now in. I accepted this position a year ago after serving as the finance manager the year prior, and plans to expand the center were already underway, and I have done everything I can to support what was already happening. And written in last year's operation grant approval was the stipulation that I hire and train enough people necessary to run the current classrooms and 2 more classrooms in the future. And I'm really grateful that their jobs will be able to stay in place because of this grant offer. And we'll do all that we can to raise the additional funds we can to get that operating as soon as possible. And with the expansion, of course, we'll have additional funds coming in with extra slots. And we, of course, access federal funds through Head Start, so there will be still a mix of Head Start slots and community slots, but we hopefully won't have to turn anyone away at that point, and everyone's going to do that. And by supporting our facility, obviously you support the 15 local jobs that it creates and all local businesses that are utilizing the childcare. Our families are farming, working in waste management and healthcare, social work, veterinary work, elder care. They're teaching and providing childcare both in and out of our center. And I really look forward to the day when we can support more local jobs and families, because more families have that access to safe, reliable, local childcare.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Sarah Kirby. Nikki, did you want to say anything? You don't have to speak if you don't.
I mean, I'm also going to pivot a tiny bit, but I just thought sharing my own story. Wearing two hats as a parent of a child at the CELC and as finance manager. So it was June 16th, 2023, and I had 10 days remaining before my maternity leave was over. I just finished a meeting where I'd been informed by my employer that I would be unable to perform my previous role in a work from home capacity. At the time, every slot in the infant childcare program was filled, and I was waitlisted everywhere. ERDC had started the center itself. On June 22nd, 2023, which was 3 days before my leave ended, I was presented my offer letter from the CELC board. The board was gracious enough in their offer to allow me to work half the time in the office and the other half at home until things settled themselves. And the immediate relief I felt was instantaneous, and it was felt both by me and my husband, as we now had a resolution for finances and a partial solution to care for a 3-month-old. What I couldn't have anticipated was that I could only accomplish 45 minutes worth of work at home in between the 2 hours it took to feed, change, burp, and put Jasper back to sleep. She was a long feeder, so it was a party. When she was 5 months old, the board gave their permission for me to have a pack and play in my office. It was my new foolproof game plan to increase my productivity. But despite all my efforts, I still struggled terribly, although I made sure that my work did not. While finding myself working half the day still. It only got more difficult in the following months as she got bigger and more independent. It was only due to my position at the CELC that Jasper was able to get that open slot last December. And it changed our lives. We were on an unsustainable pathway. Sorry. But my story is the exception. It's not the rule. And I was fortunate enough to find a job that provided that kind of care and that kind of understanding. And for a lot of people, it's not the case. So thank you for fully funding this. That is our main goal. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Stephen Allen.
My name is Steve Allen. I live at 214 South Jefferson in Condon. I came today just as a concerned citizen. I wanted to provide some information to the court. So prior to moving back to Condon, I worked in the nonprofit sector for 16 years. I have a master's degree in nonprofit management and development studies. And I can tell you it's probably the sector of work that is some of the most demanding. The financial compensation is at its lowest, but it's really mission driven. And I'm thankful that the grants committee had kind of reviewed some things and made some changes. And I would just like to tell the court that funding these things, I think, is really crucial for not only these organizations, but the community at large. We're talking about healthcare, childcare, and elder care, and these are cornerstones, I think, of any thriving community. Moving forward, I think these organizations have all learned that the funding that was there yesterday may not always be there tomorrow. And I think everybody who's worked in the nonprofit sector really understands that. I can tell you from previous positions I've had, you know, things that look good now, you have to be prepared for later when that funding isn't there. But I think these things are worth funding, and I would really encourage the court to continue to look at these things as economic development investments. I think that between these three, the South Gilliam Health, Condon ELC, and Summit Springs, I think we're employing over 50 people. And then you think of all the people that are, you know, cared for as a result of that. Summit Springs, for example, you give the people who live in this area the opportunity to stay in this area instead of having to go to the Dalles or elsewhere to get care in the retirement facilities. Summit Springs is also unique in that it has the memory care unit, so potentially people who might have some issues as they grow older can transition across the street instead of like into another facility. It's good for families. And I think that the county can really look at this as a way to do good in the community. It sounds like a lot of money, I know, when we talk about these figures, but in terms of economic development, I mean, it's kind of the old phrase of it's easier to kill jobs than to create them sometimes at the county level or local government. And I think these things kind of reverberate throughout our communities. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have for this. Oh, sorry, I missed you. I apologize.
Chris, I have a question.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Carrie Lee, Scott Canyon Lane, Common Business Owner, and Common Childcare, DBA, Common Learning Center. Board. Just like Haley, I'm contributing also because we are. I'd like to share with you guys a little bit of the history of the Condon Early Learning Center expansion project. I became aware a few weeks ago that perhaps not everybody is up to par on the previous conversations that led to this expansion project. The previous county court presented the idea of this expansion to us. Initially, we were hesitant. At the time, the center was operating on a bare bones staff, which led to frequent classroom closures and had low employee retention, which is common in the childcare industry. Our biggest fear was community backlash if this expansion happened and it had to sit empty because we could not staff it. The financial commitment was also a daunting task. The court agreed to fund the development and research portion of the expansion, provide a large portion of capital funding for the expansion, and support the center in our efforts to improve staff retention. The board and county moved forward with the plan. Efforts to increase staff retention and staff training caused a drastic increase in our funding asked through the operational support grant program last year and this year. Awareness to the needs of the staff were a passion of previous directors Jennifer Gould and Jeanine Conboy. The funds of the operational support grant allowed Jeanine Conboy and current director Haley Potter to institute the changes needed to improve our staff retention. In the past 11 months, the CELC has become overstaffed for the first time and has had 100% staff retention. Once again, something that is unheard of in childcare. Our staff are finally offered competitive, livable wages and modest benefit package. By being overstaffed, our employees are finally able to take a sick day or personal day without facing community backlash because their absence caused a classroom closure. The center's staff and board were hesitant, but now we're excited for this expansion. It's very emotional to put a lot into this. We know we can staff this and we really appreciate your guys' support. And we know that Arlington is struggling with their childcare. And I ask the community members, reach out to them, find out how you can help. Childcare centers take more than just financial support. They take community and kind investment. Maybe they need help with lawn work, getting their playground up to date. Maybe they need help with assembling furniture, writing grants, things like that. Help them, not just financially. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Denise?
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yes, well, I have three.
Okay.
I'll just throw them all out there. And maybe various people will need to answer. Because there are always conversations that may not be based in fact. And so I want to know what's true,
Okay.
what's not. So the first is, what is the age limit of children that are allowed at the convent early learning?
Yes, 6 weeks to 5 years.
5 years. Okay. And do you provide daycare during the summer?
We provide care all year round.
Okay. And for Honker's Nest, is there going to be any requirement that they are more than a daycare? Because we don't want the same restrictions.
Okay. I can comment a little on licensing if that will clear it up a little bit.
Okay.
And I think we were planning on maybe putting some things in the paper going forward, so it could clear up some of the questions with that. But ultimately, when you have a facility and it's a licensed facility, there are requirements that are gonna look the same, whether you call it a daycare or you call it an early learning center. The only time you can avoid those licensing requirements is if it's an in-home daycare, and they still have restrictions and licensing. You can look at
I think it would also be up to that entity also. Thank you for your input to meet the needs of the community in the way they see fit. Okay? Those are my thoughts. But you know, you understand the licensing and I understand that.
Can we ask questions?
Yes.
You mind right now? Yeah.
Yes, you can stand.
Oh, I'm Katie Gray, and I have a mailing address of Ione, but we're actually in this county. So I just have a question of how many children currently are there?
So currently, we can do 19 in our preschool classroom and 8 in our infant. It's a combined infant toddler classroom. You could cause some complications with us licensing wise. So when you have infants, your ratio is 1 to 4, and that would be in-home or licensed. You can deal with those ratios. And then with 2 additional classrooms, that would increase by, I think, 36. You'd be able to do 18 to 20 in each classroom, depending on the program you're running.
Okay, so that's with the expansion?
That's with the expansion. Right now, we can do 18 to 20 in our preschool, but we typically have about 18. We don't have a wait list in our preschool side typically. The infant toddlers max.
So what is the ratio right now from assistant, whatever you call them, child caregiver, to children?
So it changes with age. So in the preschool classroom, it's 1 to 10. And then in the infant toddler, it's 1 to 4. And that is bare bones. Like no one will be able to take a break or go to lunch or use the bathroom, things like that. So we always overstaff to make sure everyone's good with their needs.
What is the staff? How many?
Yeah, 15 right now. That includes 2 admin, a cook, and a full-time custodian. And we do have additional staff on board because it takes about 6 months for them to do the hours required to count in ratio. And so we hired them in advance so that they would be ready once the expansion is ready, and then we can delay it.
We had a few people online that also had wanted to speak. Carrie Scott, did you still want to say something?
Hi, yes, thank you very much. My things did change. Thank you very much to to everyone for rewarding everything that you've done for the Condon Early Learning Center. Myself as a parent, I am very happy. My son absolutely loves going to his preschool there. He has learned so much through them, through the teachers and everybody, just through socializing, because he's used to just being around myself and adults. But the Condon Early Learning Center really has opened up so much of his broadened his education and everything from learning singing songs to how to grow trees and how butterflies grow and all that fun stuff. But it's the preschool is so much more. I was born and raised here. I went to preschool here in Condon, and it's I still to this day have friendships from when I was in preschool, and watching my son do that is one of those. It just makes my heart so happy, all the friends that he has made there. And he has done that because of being the ability to go to the Condon Early Learning Center in that. But no, they've as a board member, I'm very grateful for everything you guys have done. And we are looking forward to our expansion and growing and everything with our staff up and ready to go. We are just very appreciative for what you guys have done for us. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie.
And then we also had Damon Holland.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to echo the thanks that have been said by everybody. And Damon Holland, 415 North Main Street in Condon. And I do want to mention, you know, my wife works for the Early Learning Center. So there is a bias here, you know, in my mind. But I do want to thank, you know, the county for funding this, because I think that Condon is really, really incredibly fortunate to have an education center and a childcare facility that's so well equipped and filled with educated and dedicated teaching staff. It's a difficult job, and historically early education employees have not been paid commensurate with their education and experience. There's been historically limited benefits, and the quality of care in Condon is so dramatically different than the quality of care in comparable small rural communities. It's also worth mentioning how big of a resource hub the Early Learning Center is. Programs like Preschool Promise, Head Start, Summer Lunch, as well as being like a referral hub to specialized services for anybody dealing with developmental challenges in early education. And I did want to just, you know, put the pricing power into perspective. Like, the quality of education that we have here in Condon is so dramatically low priced compared with the state average. Oregon's average center-based infant care cost is nearly $1,900 per month per child, $1,800 per month per toddler, and $1,400 per preschooler. Speaking from personal experience living outside of Condon, I paid just under $500 a week for 3 half days of care that didn't even hold a candle to the quality and level of education that our center provides. And I think that, like, now and ongoing as funding, it's, I think, dramatically important for us to fund probably the most precious resource that we have as a rural community, which is early education. And the benefits in the research show the cognitive, behavioral, and academic are pretty well established. And so once again, thank you, county, for funding it. I think it's going to be a huge benefit to the community and the growth of our community, to echo kind of what Stephen said as being an economic factor as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And then Megan. Megan's
Is there
still
Megan
here.
online? No. Okay.
I don't see her. And then there was one more. I just wanted to ask if anyone on the phone wanted to say anything. I think it's *6 to unmute yourself. I see we do have one person joined by phone.
Okay.
Nope. Okay, I think that's it.
One of the major reasons that I think the grant committee made the recommendation is we see a future to being more self-sustaining, which at a county level, one of the issues on these operational support grants is that we want to make sure that you're self-sustaining if something were to happen to this pool of money. So that's part of the reason why this is going forward the way it is. Want to make sure that you understand. We did sit down and talk to the Condon Early Learning Center. They explained this to us. So I would encourage you to run it like a business. There's many of us who run a business here and proceed that way. This expansion is going to give you the numbers, going to meet the needs of the community. You know, we just want it to go forward so that we can not be put in this position again. Now, I'm not saying this is a difficult position, because this is a position that those of us in these chairs have to take, but I just want to make sure you know. Okay, thank you.
Which is why the previous court set up the enhancement fund, so that we can sustain the childcare down the road, so.
We kind of understand that it's a systemically unsustainable model. Childcare is nationwide, and we want to continue to do it, to bring in those federal funds and any other funds that we can continue.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I just, my name is Jeremy Kirby. Sarah Kirby's husband with 232 South Jefferson. I'm also a city councilor for Quorum. So I just want to go on the record and say that I fully support the amount that they've asked for. Being city councilor for the last 3 years, I've been privy to a lot of interesting conversations that involve around housing, and then also being a small business owner myself, averaging 60, sometimes 80 hours a week. For about 6 months, having to take half days to cover childcare when we couldn't have it as well, like I heard my wife talk about earlier. But one of the biggest things of being a small business owner at that location is hearing a lot of families very curious about the community and moving there. And one of the biggest things I think in order to move towards sustainability is we need to really attack things like housing, so that there are places for families to move, and then direct support of that is childcare, so that they're able to contribute to the community by working if needed be. And I think that's a really big, important factor to be considering when we have this money, that we need to see a certain amount of growth if you're going to reach something closer to sustainability, even though, as we've seen nationally, it's not. But maybe we'll figure out.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, is there anybody else on this subject?
Leah Shannon, 275 Shane Drive in Arlington, Oregon, and I'm here in support of the Arlington Child Care Early Learning Center. As a waste management employee and the largest employer in the county, it's critical to us that we have child care available so that we can get employees and retain employees. It's also very critical, just as a small community, to offer these services to people. I wonder, and I'm very grateful that the court has considered this and is going to look funding it more fully. I wonder, with the opportunity right now where Arlington Child Care is, if it's an opportunity for the community to really sit down and think about doing a Gilliam County Child Care umbrella board type of thing where we pull them together. Condon has done a fantastic job, maybe we use their experience. They've learned how to fund this stuff, they've learned how to write grants, they've done a really good job. They have resources. Maybe we pull those resources, we pull it in. And as Commissioner Watkins said, we have started the funding the endowment through the waste management host fees. Those are going to take a bit of time to build, but we will eventually have a pretty good pot. And then possibly the Arlington Child Care, that would be in the building or something that can come out of that we can do. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and maybe we can think about how we move forward in the future. But I do appreciate that the court. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question online.
Who do we have here?
This is Bonnie Kraxberger. I'm on
Okay.
Weatherford Road in Arlington, and I'm a parent for the last couple of years at the Condon Early Learning Center. And my question is, what kind of oversight is the county offering to ensure that the funds are spent wisely?
So I can speak a little to how the grant program works. The county doesn't necessarily provide too much oversight because we're not the boards. We're not running the businesses, but we do require some accountability in a final report each year that does show your income statement and your balance sheet for the year, and a narrative summary of things that went as planned, things that didn't go as planned, how you're going to tackle those in the future. And that's the form of accountability that is required to receive funds again in future years.
I could speak to that. All of my line item in financial reporting is oversaw by the board itself. They do it with a fine-tooth comb. All this money that we are being given is going towards payroll for the extra employees that we have staffed for this future expanding. There is a large chunk that we would probably use for furniture and supplies to flush out these new rooms in order for them to be fully, day one ready to go. And then utilities, day-to-day costs of just one facility, diapers, linens, wipes, groceries, etc. It's just to get us to net zero as close as possible.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other comments on the subject?
Maya, here, do you have an update on when? Is that RFPs going on?
So if we don't have, a contractor at this point, but if we're ready for that, anywhere, things to funders, so we just work with them. Get that all going a little bit faster. So,
Okay. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon, so we can get this.
And that's where the grant committee recommended holding the remainder of the funds until it does get there. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I understand your staff roughly 15, is that correct?
yeah, and again, that includes a full-time custodian and so too.
Okay, and what the expansion, this will cover that, or do you foresee more staff being needed to be added?
I don't think we'll need more staff immediately because I don't expect that we'll have 2 full classrooms right away. But there's gonna be some room for growth there. So I think with the staff we have, if people call out, like I had 3 people call out both Monday and Tuesday this week and I didn't have to close because we got those buffers. And I think when we have 2 preschool classrooms, if that lead teacher calls out sick or something, we should be able to combine for the day. And I'm technically teacher qualified too, so in a pinch I can jump in or teach. So I don't really think we're gonna need to hire anyone.
And some of the additions you just did you're in the process of training or getting them updated, they're not,
Yes.
it's just a
Yeah, we have one employee who hurt themselves on the job the first week, so they actually, we haven't covered much for that person for payroll so far, but as they get better, we'll be paying more into their payroll. But. Sorry, I lost track of what it said, the rest of it.
I was just, where they're at, you added some
Yeah.
employees and you're in the process of training and.
Yes, so last year, we had a couple, people move or, the previous director left. So we had a couple people leave and then I brought on 8 people. And they've all been getting training all year round and this whole year. And so many of them started as an A1, never having worked in the fields before. And then after about 6 months of hours, they hit A2. And so for licensing requirement purposes, they then count as like a 1-to-10 ratio situation. So if the lead teacher steps out for their lunch break, they can be in charge right there. And that took about 6 months to get them. And now everyone is at A2 status, it needs to be, and we're good to go. But I've encouraged a lot of people to take 4-day work weeks, leave early, take vacation right now.
Okay.
Just for we can't just have someone hired on the same day and step in to be a head teacher. They have to go through steps that are oversaw by the state licensing, and they have to reach certain steps to be able to run a classroom. So we've had people come in and say like, well, I will just go babysit for you all day. And it's like, well, come on, we need you to be up here. So, okay.
And
What's your next
kind of one last question I have, you've stated in here some of the other sources for funding that you guys have reached out to and do you foresee any additions or anybody else that's new maybe or?
For operations in particular,
Yes.
it's very difficult to get operations grants. I know the Ford Foundation will occasionally fund up to 25,000 for an operation grant. They're not going to want to do it every year, and they don't want to do it at all. So that's always, you might be able to get our hands on that. But with the expansion, they don't like to have more than 1 grant out at a time per entity. So we would prefer to work with them on helping us with our extension right now. Our main source of funding other than our county ask is through Head Start. That's how we access federal funds, is by having those Head Start slots. And I know that has rubbed a lot of community members the wrong way because if you don't qualify for Head Start, you're hoping for a community slot. And they've been saved over, and I hear that. The solution is no slots. So my opinion, it's been, yeah, okay.
We're halfway to sustainability, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Once we have these fully fleshed out rooms, once we're kind of generating, hopefully double the amount of income we are receiving from subsidies, we just based on predictive models with the staff we have, maybe plus one or two very future employees, we could be, our ask will be significantly lower.
That would be great.
We are constantly looking for alternative grant funding. In 2022-23, when our ask was 85,000, we had received grants on post-COVID. Don't start down from the state, it was almost $100,000. So we do adjust and our project.
Okay, so on the subject of grants, where are we at the Kelly nonprofiting? And were you guys on the list to get help from them?
About a year and a half ago, when I was maintenance manager, we got 4 hours from Kelly nonprofit, and they helped us a little bit with our narrative. And it was some good advice.
So where are we at?
That I have not dug into it. It's in a triage situation with a lot of other things. So
That would be helpful for a lot of these entities going forward.
right. And it does make me wonder when she said they don't fund operations. Grants. So if operations is what you need,
Federal funding, I think, is the best way to begin those types of relationships. I think right now we have this bump up to 1558 per infant slot, which obviously we don't have for families. So our community slot is severely discounted, so that we're not looking at those same rates that are maybe play well for us.
thank you.
Okay.
Denise.
Just clarification. So even if we got a permit for daycare, we could still only take children up to 5 years old.
So I can share a website, I'm gonna look it up for you afterwards and I'll give it to you, that shows the breakdown of licensing requirements based off of the type of care you're providing. So an in-home daycare provider can only provide care to, I believe, one other family other than their own, and then they have a cap of how many children they can watch. Really have to deal with their insurance and things like that. It's a little bit different based on in-home daycare. Anytime you have a facility, it must be licensed. And there's a lot of inspections, a lot that goes on there, ratios. I don't know that it's avoidable. I don't know that you can just say you're in daycare and not have to deal with licensing and the sewer board.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I have no problem with license.
Yeah.
I have a problem with age. So the kids after school.
Yeah.
What happens to them?
I would love, because I counted on that myself. I would love to rise the opportunity to bring that back to our county. It will be supported as well, and looking at different models in different states to see how they make it work.
Yes, after school care would be very much appreciated by the community.
We just can't do it right now because of facility restraints and some other restraints.
Okay, I don't want to cut it short. We got a lot of other business to do, so I appreciate it. And I think if you have questions, you may be able to ask her later, and I appreciate that you ask them in public, which we allow public input. I just wanted to. Does anyone have a comment? Okay, thank you. All right, do we have any other discussion?
Would you like me to address?
The Hawker Snacks will be next.
Okay.
Yes, on your licensing. Is there anything else? I want to reiterate what I heard. So 300,000 is the award with the balance up to 420,435 upon construction beginning.
Yeah, so I would award the full amount with a disbursement of 300,000 immediately and the remaining disbursement upon construction
But the
or
full
upon
amount,
expansion
the
project.
424,635, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, is there any discussion about the South Health and Summit Springs Village? I support fully funding them at 150,000. We take care of children. We need to take care of our old people. We need to take care of our health. I support that. Any thoughts on that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
So explain to me again on the childcare, the 4.
So we had to lower it from 450 to 420,435 because in the operational grant guidelines, it says that $1 million will be available for operational grants.
Okay, so you did find that.
Yeah,
You did.
yeah. And the total requested was 1,029,565. So the committee's recommendation was to deduct that amount from the early learning centers, just because it was the largest ask, I think was really kind of the reasoning behind that.
That includes the Honker Nest.
Yeah, we set aside, we recommend setting aside the 270,000 for the Honker's Nest right now, and for upon them providing a new application and reviewing that
Okay,
when the time comes.
okay. Any other discussion before you vote?
So the Arlington childcare, I believe has money still. If we're looking at it, you know, I mean, I think we should look back and see what was the additional amount we were withholding that we approved to begin with,
Okay.
and consider that in our equation.
So you're saying it was never requested? It was approved?
It was requested, but there were stipulations that were going along with it, and because we
Okay.
released some of it,
Okay,
in March, I believe.
Okay,
So what
so
we
roll
can
that
do-
forward to this year's
Yeah,
and consider that the difference.
funding.
yeah, so
Okay.
my recommendation would be to fully fund the early learning at the 450.
So I will start filling this in this spreadsheet up here. Uh-oh, are you still there? As 150,000 for the health district. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Honker's Nest will take up at the time that their licensing is put together. 450 for the child care Condon Early Learning Center. 150,000 for Summit Springs Village, and $9,565 for Envision Eye Care for All. Does that sound
Mhm.
and look
Yes.
good?
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve operational support grants for the 2024-25 as follows. For Condon Early Learning Center, 450,000. Summit Springs Village in the amount of 150,000. Envision Eye Care for All in the amount of 9,565. And then the South Gilliam Health District in the amount of 150,000.
Yes. I do want to clarify though, that the Condon Early Learning Center, 300,000 with the balance upon construction starting. That you're agreeable to that? Is that?
I mean, I hope it doesn't look like this fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens if it does?
And then you lay people off.
It's come back to.
Yeah. Cross that bridge when we get there.
We need to get there. I mean, that's the, we're trying to put you in, understand that we need to get there. It's gonna solve a lot of problems is what I'm hearing. So, we have a motion on the floor, but just a second. Will this affect the motion, what you're gonna say?
Well, yes, because I thought she said 450, we put them over $1 million threshold.
Yes, but what we heard was the Honker's Nest still has money that they've not requested. We allocated the 270,000, but they
Not
have.
Honker's Nest,
Early.
early learning.
Right.
Yes. So
Violating grant.
what we were going to do was hold 270,000 for the Honker Nest.
Yeah.
But since they have rollover funding from last year, we can apply that rollover funding toward this year's request for them and lower this year's amount for the Honker's Nest. Does that make sense? So if they have 50,000 as a rollover, then we can set aside 220,000 of this year's funding to make it 270. And then the early learning center could be fully funded as requested. Does that make sense there?
I understand.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right, do we have A second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. Where we are, the agenda is update regarding licensing for the homelessness.
I'm Margaret Atkins, I live here in Arlington. I am in the process of getting the licensing for the Arlington, we have changed names from the homelessness to Arlington Community Child Care. It has
Okay.
gone through. And so now-
Arlington Community Child.
Yeah.
All right.
We are in that process, at the ending process of getting a license to start re-enrolling families of this community into, the child care. And I just want to introduce myself. I, moved to Arlington a couple of years ago. I have been in the child care business for the last 8+ years. I've worked as a preschool teacher at certified centers for the last 7 years. The reason why I have moved on from being a preschool teacher is due to the lack of childcare in the community that I was working in Heckner, and so being able to provide for this community in Arlington, I thought would be beneficial for not only me as I continue raising a family, but the other families in this community that I am aware of, and the need for childcare in small rural communities is very necessary. On licensing, we are very close. We've had both inspections done. It's just the process of submitting the paperwork back to the licensor and her just issuing the license. So that can be a day from now. It can be, or like a week from now, but we don't expect it to be more than 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay, good. Okay, so you can come back, reapply.
Perfect.
Just want to clarify that there would be available funds of $270,000 total. So the money you carried over, the way the grants are, if you have money carried over, you can't get a full grant the next year. Is that correct, Lena? Typically.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why. Anything that was carried over in this grant would total the 270
Okay.
available.
And we have a clarifying question. Could you state your name and your position with daycare?
Margaret Atkins, and I will be the provider. Because we are a certified in-home center. Due to licensing and Haley was stating, there are a lot of things that come into play with licensing different centers. And the licensor they have been an in-home certified family center for the last 30+ years they've been open. So licensor just suggested to move forward with that, and then if we wanted to move forward with becoming more of a certified center, we could do that in the future, but to get open and provide care for our families, this was the best.
That's
and
right.
fastest route, right?
I think that's good. And I think
Does that have to be just in your name then?
Yeah, so with a certified family, it has to be in just one person's name. And so that's what kind of has been, I think, the wonkiness of everything. There is a business, obviously, we're a nonprofit. We hold a business license, but with being a certified family center, it's only in one person's name.
okay.
So, but you're working towards the Arlington Community Child Care having their own license.
That's our big goal right now. Right now, we want to get established though, and get established with families and the community, and we've also, been in contact with the school district, also just kind of, I think, as a community, it's a small community, I think being connected with other businesses and community members is so important, and especially coming from preschool background, working with not only preschool and daycare, but also with therapists and school districts and that kind of stuff. I think it's very important for the success of our children and families.
Thank you. Thanks for the update. Keep us informed. Okay, thank you. Okay, then,
So I have one more question. So you guys have the full board now and they're helping you through the process? Yeah, we do have a full board and they are in helping us. We are hopeful to, once we open to the community and the community gets to kind of, that we will have more involvement from the community, whether they want to be on the board or to help out as community members. We're really hopeful that the community will stand up and support us in that, in the effort to get a running facility here in Arlington. Yeah, we look towards the Condon and their success, and we would really like to strive to also be that successful and provide those resources for our community. Yeah, those guys will be great.
okay, thank you. Thanks for everyone who commented today. I'm gonna move to items if there's no objection on the agenda. Two people have been sitting here waiting for quite a while, and some other housekeeping items we can take care of after. So let's go ahead and go with Brad Carnine, consider approval of purchase of crew cab service truck road department vehicle.
So I'm Brad Carnine, Gilliam County, rock crusher.
What would like,
That's fine.
okay,
Gilliam County rock crusher supervisor, 336 North Main, Condon. Yeah, they're seeking approval for, purchase of a new crusher pickup.
okay. Did you get any other quotes or attempt to?
We received, a written quote from McCurley Chevrolet, another quote from Capital Chevrolet.
Oh,
They,
sorry. This is additional.
yes.
Okay. All right. If you understand it on this vehicle, it's kind of a one of a kind situation, or you would have a long wait in ordering.
Yeah, they're very hard to come by,
Okay.
2-year, wait for a new one built, so.
So in the packet is the vehicle that they would like. What was this handed to you as an additional quote? Okay,
But the question, this is just the chassis, correct?
Yeah,
Not the complete.
yeah, the one we found is already complete.
It's everything's on it.
Yeah,
and that's why it's more cost effective, because it's
Right.
complete.
right.
Okay. We have any thoughts for you? Okay. Anything else before we vote?
I don't think so.
Okay. Motion, is there suggested language in the briefing?
I'll make a motion. I highly recommend authorizing this service. Whoops.
Next line.
Yep.
There should be a suggested motion.
I hear.
This is-
It's a different.
You have different.
All right. I move to approve the purchase of the 2023 Chevrolet Crew Cab 4x4 truck for $126,327,000 as presented.
Second. Thanks, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Tommy Anderson, Wheatland Insurance Proposal, fiscal year 2024-2025. And this is for CIS insurance. That's it.
Good morning, Commissioner Judge.
Yes.
Johnny Anderson, Wheatland Insurance, 307 South Main, Condon. Appreciate you bumping me up. It's kind of stressful amount this
Oh,
fire, so.
Yeah.
We're kind of doing this backwards. Typically, I would meet with you in the May or the June meeting. These policies renew on the fiscal year 7/1. We were unable to do that this year. So we kind of worked behind the scenes and kind of made some things happen to get the policies renewed 7/1 without me attending a meeting. But anyway, that being said, these have already been approved. These are already in effect. So it's just kind of a 10,000 foot view with
you two who are new to some of this. Aaliyah and I have done this in the past for a few years. So your workers' compensation is with Safe Corporation. And I've put the renewal in front of you. Like I said, it's already been clearly paid. Just a few things to note on that. The increase in that is we're going from an experience modification factor with the plan at the bottom of page 1 of that. Last year's was 6.5. This year's is 9.5. And so what that is that's showing that we're trending up in claims and we're looking at a 5-year level. So if the low year drops off on year 5 and replaced by a higher one, it's a 5-year spread. So in addition to that, payroll is also up from 3.7 million to 3.9. These are totally accurate because what we had to do to renew Safe policy is we didn't have payroll reports because of what was going on at the time. So Safe agreed to keeping the full pay, which gives you a discount. And I think what they did, it's either 4.5 or 5.5% increase. They just trended everything with that, which I think will probably be in line.
Okay.
We audit this at the end of next year. There might be a little swing in there, but that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
CIS also renewed 7-1. That's in front of you. Main thing is that I met with Brooklyn last week. We sat down for about a half an hour and I kind of walked her through because she's going to be the key contact, I do believe. Walk her through, make sure she's set up in their portal, make sure she's set up in Safe's portal. There's also some supplemental policies that we handle, railroad liability. We'll probably be doing some stuff for a drone soon. And there's some bonds for specific, the fair board, I believe, and I believe the treasurer's office bought it by the state. So
Okay.
she's got a good grasp of all that. And kind of just the 10,000-foot view since we've already approved all this
Thank
stuff.
you.
And I just wanted to introduce myself, and if you guys have specific questions, obviously I'm always happy to address any of that.
That's good. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion. We do need to add to that motion, though, Safe for workers' comp. We have a motion for approval of insurance for CIS property liability renewals, Safe for workers' comp for fiscal year 2024, 2025. Is there a motion?
So I move to approve insurance proposal for CIS for property and liability renewal and for Safe workers' compensation for the fiscal year 2024-25.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
One last thing, in February of every year, CIS puts on its annual conference, which is, I recommend it to any commissioners that deal with key contacts in the county.
Thank you.
Contacts and deal with a lot.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, let's go back up to consider approval of road use agreement, RRT design and construction. Okay. This one went to legal. You have that? Let's see. Okay. This one went to legal counsel. It has been approved. The insurance amounts are correct on it. Do you have any questions?
Oh, I assume Dewey's good with it. You know, legal counsel was kind of the last thing that you have question, wasn't it, Leah?
Yeah. Okay.
And they're good with it.
And Grant, which is legal design lines and make it correct, we don't need to have legal correct that.
I think, did it come in a Word document to us or is it PDF? I mean, yeah, we can just correct it before.
You'll get it to us. Okay. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the road use agreement from RRT Design and Construction as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries.
I'll just write it off and then get it to you, right, if you wish it.
Thank you. Okay, and possible action regarding Gilliam County Public Health procurement process.
Commissioner Watkins, so she did not get back to me on that part. She sent me back the other agreement, but, I just recommend that we just, set it at a level that not to exceed maybe $5,000. I doubt that it would even come close to that, but.
Okay.
And hopefully they started that process.
So you want to limit it to what?
5,000.
That's, I don't think it'll be.
Okay. Do we have a motion? I have no problem with that.
I move to approve the Gilliam County Public Health utilizing Gilliam County's legal counsel to assist with the RFP process in their construction project. The shelter will be built as an extension to the back of the building, not to exceed $5,000.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Let's go to, Radcom, are you there? Are you online? For network and IT?
I am looking at the list of people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we have a representative from RadComp here.
Yeah, she's gonna call.
Okay. I can start with a high level, somewhat of an understanding of where we're at on this project. So RadComp is our IT, contracted IT services for the county. They handle oversight of our servers and our equipment and setup of all our computer systems, cybersecurity, all of those sorts of things. And they also track our equipment replacement schedules and make recommendations to keep our equipment upgraded and at a level that it should be at for safety purposes and just continuity of service. So RadComp has suggested that we replace some equipment. I'll go ahead and share my screen here so people at home can follow along. Okay, so they are currently suggesting that we replace some of our switches. We have some outdated switches that basically route information from the servers to people's offices, people's computers, from the internet connection to our telephones. It's all equipment in the server room. It's all pretty old. I think most of the equipment has been around as long as I have, if not longer. So it's in need of updating for security reasons and continuity of service. Let's see. They would like to update our firewalls, replace 3 Cisco switches, which are, I believe, some telephone equipment. This work will have to be done outside of business hours so that it doesn't affect anyone's working. So generally, when we have a contractor in the courthouse outside of business hours, we have an employee there also supervising their work and letting them into offices and whatnot. They want to replace the switches and the firewall. They want to clean up the server room, which is a disaster right now. The server room has gotten, it's turned into somewhat of a storage space. And there's a lot of cords that have been unplugged from one end and not the other. They're quite a tangled mess at the moment. So they want to get that cleaned up, it looks like, and remove some old hardware that we haven't been using for a while. They want to finally remove and decommission and destroy some of that hardware. And then at the library, they want to connect the library's network to the courthouse's network, so that rather than having two standalone places, the library can speak to the network at the courthouse through a VPN, site-to-site VPN.
Because they use the internet from TDS or.
No, it's just so that the servers and all the equipment are at the courthouse in a secure space, rather than the library having their own servers in a less secure environment and having their own firewall that would be using then the county's firewall and server systems.
It won't affect their service down there.
No, they'll still use the same internet connection. They'll just use a VPN then to connect to the courthouse, rather than having their own equipment there on site.
Maybe getting on hold of Rob Pump right now.
He's looking to see if somebody's looking for it.
Oh, okay.
Just a moment.
Laurel did say that she got confirmation that someone should be on the meeting, but
The meeting took a little bit longer than.
It did, yeah. Oh, and it looks like they also, as I'm scrolling through their quote here, they're also recommending replacement of our Wi-Fi access points throughout the building. It looks like they have 5 access points that they want to update also. And then the labor is included in our monthly agreement. So there would be no labor charges for the additional work here, just the equipment. Are there any questions while we're waiting for them? I can answer some, but probably not all.
Sounds like these are items that need to be taken care of.
This for. Wasn't there something through Arlington? That was happening as well, or is this solely the courthouse?
It mentioned Arlington on here, but as far as I can read through here, these all look like things that are in place at the courthouse that they're replacing.
That confused me because it's that.
Yeah.
West First Street.
Yeah. With my first thought too, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
Not
that's why when she
First
said
Street.
that to me originally, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says Arlington Court, but the equipment that they're talking about in here is at the courthouse. Yeah.
That's a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would,
Yeah.
they put Jeff in coach.
Yeah.
And the firewall will help with the cyber.
Yeah, our firewall is outdated now and needs replaced. It's probably, I think we got the firewall installed when we switched from the ESD to CAPECO. So it's probably, around 5 or 6 years old at this point. And it's ready for an update.
To 3 counties, correspondence.
Yes, we do not want that. Yeah.
Because they were actually squabbling, hatching over how much money they want to pay for cybersecurity.
Yeah.
At the time when they got hacked. And it was over $1 million in counting when it was said and done, and them trying to,
Yeah.
because everything had to go back to old handwritten.
And I can tell you, most of us have no idea how to do our jobs on paper.
Oh, yeah. They were just starting into their budget and they had,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a nightmare. Yeah.
So this will help with that.
Yes, I highly recommend keeping all equipment up to date. Yeah. Yeah.
Are we prepared to go forward or do you?
Nope.
I'll check and see
If we're comfortable,
an email.
I'm comfortable. I mean, he can.
They're the experts, they're the ones that put it together.
Yeah, this is what we hire them to do.
Yes. We're just gonna proceed.
He said Nicole's on the phone with Gilliam County, doesn't know if it's for this or.
Nicole. I don't see a Nicole on the meeting. There's one phone number out there that doesn't have a name, but it is not unmuting, so.
Kelly, this is Ellen.
Oh.
I have
Oh,
Red
it's
Comp on the
Ellen.
phone. They're gonna be connected to you in just a minute.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ellen. Ellen's got him. And we can make sure that, yes, it is the
Thank you,
Gilliam
Ellen.
County Courthouse.
Mhm.
Is this like what was the last time? Anybody know? It was updated or?
Oh, it should be on the front page of the website. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Are they joining Zoom or calling?
I think joining Zoom. Yeah.
The number's on it.
Let's see, I gotta think about this. The switches have been there since at least, I believe, when I started. I don't think we've bought any new switches, and I've been here since 2017. So, there's not a lot to the switches, really. They don't, they're just routing information, but you still need them to be secure. And the phone switches, I think we got a new switch or two. I'd have to go back and double check when we switched the phone system. But we also, our switches are all full right now. We have no open ports. To connect the new offices downstairs, was that yesterday? Day before? Seems so long ago.
Yeah.
I had to unplug a couple of ports in the building, that are temporarily not being used, so.
In the server room.
Yeah.
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 If, I think we can just go ahead and proceed. I'm prepared to do that since they haven't come on yet.
Or do we want to put this off to the very end? Is there
Yeah.
anything else? We
Let's just
can,
go ahead, Ellen. County clerk.
Yeah,
She's
she's clicking on the Zoom right now.
Huh? Yes.
Brad Comp is clicking on the Zoom from the public.
Okay. All right.
oh, okay.
Able to get it to work.
Oh, she can run office.
I think they've got her on the phone in the clerk's office.
Okay. That's right.
Any update from the county clerk?
They're working on it. There seems to
Okay.
be technical issues.
You just,
That sounds like we better do.
Jefferson County. There you are.
Refreshments. While we're waiting. Everybody needs a drink, and it actually is super. Yeah, cookies. Sauce.
if you want me to get you something. We have Ellen's gonna explain about, a request she has for Homeland Security
Oh.
authorization form. I should have had you go first, Ellen.
Do we want to move into that?
Yeah, let's just go ahead.
Yeah.
Ellen, go into the cybersecurity infrastructure security agreement. Department of Homeland Security authorization form. So go ahead. County Clerk.
Okay, he's in it. He should be there. Yes, Ellen Wagner, Gilliam County Clerk. As you know, for elections, we work with Homeland Security and they offer many resources for no charge. We have to do a security plan every year in January, and it's getting really strict on what we need to offer for election security. Homeland Security, it's called CISA, have offered to put security for cyber security on our server. Of course, it's very technical and hopefully Radcom can explain it all, but I highly encourage the county court to approve it. Again, it's free. All the other counties are utilizing this, and it does protect you from cybersecurity.
Okay.
Is he on? Is Radcom on?
Yeah, I see Tyrell has joined the meeting.
Okay, Tyrell from Radcom, you can go ahead and address the court on the two items. The quote for the server and also the cybersecurity from Homeland Security for the county clerk.
Yes, ma'am. I guess more than anything, I wanted to be present to answer any questions that you guys had, but from a brief overview perspective, the equipment there is aging. Much of the network equipment is end of life and no longer receiving security patches. And keeping items current within the network is important. It is obviously critically important to keep people that you don't want in your network out from kind of a firewall perspective. But internally, you need to harden your environment as well. So that way, in the event of some sort of an unauthorized access situation, you are mitigating their ability to move throughout your network and do damage or get to data that they shouldn't have access to. So from a physical security standpoint, this would be akin to having your doors, exterior doors locked with no other locks inside the building. If somebody gets in, they can go wherever they want. That's not ideal. This is kind of the IT version of that, being able to lock down those sections of the network.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that explanation. Do you have any questions, commissioners?
I don't.
No? Okay, do we have a motion on the replacement of server support hardware and multi-factor authentication?
I move to approve payment for the Canadian county servers and firewall as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then there's also a second. Go ahead.
I move to approve initiating the next step of the multi-factor authentication plan as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those two items are passed. And you can go ahead and begin work on this. Tyrell, thank you very much for appearing. The next item is the County Clerk Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Department of Homeland Security authorization. Tyrell, would you like to address the court on that, please?
My apologies, ma'am. It cut out a little bit. Which item was this?
This is regarding cybersecurity infrastructure through the county clerk for Homeland Security. It's a free service that protects their information. And the county clerk said you were going to be addressing the court with this information.
Correct. So the CISA offers a number of services. The two primary ones that I think everybody was interested in trying to get sooner than later were internal penetration testing as well as external penetration testing. That is not something that RADComp can approve on the county's behalf. We would obviously work with the CISA to get it done and implemented. But because they're going to be poking and prodding their way through the network to see if there are vulnerabilities that need to be corrected, they need your permission to do that. It's effectively ethical or legal hacking. So without your permission, it would be a federal crime. With your permission, it helps us protect you. And so they just need you as a county organization to say, yes, CISA, you have permission to do this investigation so that we can fix any issues that you've discovered.
Okay. All right, do we have, there is, the suggested motions, just states, authorization of the service. But what I would suggest is that the motion state, that an authorization form be approved for Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, Department of Homeland Security, for the county clerk's office.
That covers it.
Okay, do you have a motion? So moved. Yeah, it would be the.
Good. That's good. You made the motion.
Okay,
You want me to make a motion?
yeah, you make a motion.
Okay.
I just suggested.
Oh,
I move to approve the authorization form for the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, of the Department of Homeland Security, DHS.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, thank you to the county clerk. Thank you to RADComp. Right, let me look at the agenda items. The last item is update regarding county court staffing. On the Monday, he accepted the position of Gilliam County Commissioner's Assistant, and we're excited to have her coming on board. That will be August 1st. She will be an asset for us. Since I've been on the job, and because of the transition of all court business, I do believe there's going to be the need for another person, a executive assistant to the county judge. The other reason that I believe we need this is with the turnover we've had, there are holes in our system. And I think if we have another person, we can make sure that we keep everything moving and covered. There's been a lot of turnover. We're fairly bare bones right now. I've gone back and forth on this, but I think this is what we're gonna need. It was staffed this way before. And I think there's plenty of work to do. If we in the county court office have, if there are tasks that we can give, allow other departments to utilize this person, we potentially can do that. Because what happens is things are seasonal. There's busy times and there's times when things aren't so busy. So that's what I think we need. Do we have any discussion on that?
My discussion would be, let's get the county commissioner assistant first on board and then reassess. Okay, but there is things that need to get moved forward, such as the Kelly non-broadcasting, because that's going to benefit all those entities out there that are doing for that services that we've been talking about for almost 2 years. And then there's some other things that are going to be huge and daunting things when the broadband. Yeah.
Thoughts?
So with that, your thinking is Commissioner Watkins to hold up on the executive assistant to the judge?
Get her hired, get her on board and see what she has a lot of legal background. I sat in on her interviews and it might be a thing too that, I don't know, it may be a progression for her to go to that and then hire somebody for the assistant job. So that's why I would wait and see.
Okay.
But she's worked, in the Clackamas County Legal Department she has a lot of legal background, so. And I know from just the executive assistant we had, that it requires you to read lots of legal documents. And, you know, it's a lot of that, and retaining them, what they say, once you read them, so.
Okay. Let's just go ahead and proceed as we are this time. Okay. There was a time I thought the same thing, but I've gone back and forth with the way things have ebbed and flowed.
Well, being from the inside and seeing how it worked, to, you know, that the outside people couldn't see. I mean, it was a great system because you had that resource.
But you can still use her as an asset also. But, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you've already hired her?
Yes, we hired the one person. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
She was actually interviewed in April.
Yeah.
So she went through the interview process.
So she might, what you're saying, Lee, is that sounded like she's can be kind of a jack of all trades, so be able to fill in like for your commissioners and stuff and kind of see how it goes.
Well,
But you.
what I'm saying is, from interviewing her, her background is a lot of, she worked for the Clackamas County DA's office. So she has, and there was like 20 attorneys in there or something like that. So she has a lot of legal background.
Right.
And I know from before, what the lady was doing was a lot of legal documents and agreements and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is she may be a good progression to that. And, you know, until you know what she's capable of doing and how much, you know.
Right, I see. Okay,
And we still have Kirsten for what?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Then she's gone. That's why I'm uncomfortable. Whatever. Okay, she's been wonderful. I would like to say that Kirsten Smith stepped in when we needed someone. She got minutes caught up. She has been my right-hand person and to a lot of other people in the courthouse. So thank you so much, Kirsten.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is, put on hold for now. Exactly. Okay, we are, is there any other business? The next meeting, we need to talk about, committee assignments and duty assignments. The next meeting, but we just needed to get our information on first. I have the list of all of the, meetings that we are to be attending and who historically has attended those. So that will be next meeting as well.
So I do know that Norcor is not having a meeting in July.
Okay.
They're going until August.
All right. Okay.
And I originally was just Pat's backup on that.
And you did say that you were interested in Norcor.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I just,
But I had to attend them because they had to have a quorum, so.
Oh, okay. And also road department, of course.
I was just looking at, some of your lists, Leah, and yeah, just,
Korea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we contribute quite a chunk to the Korea, so I think it's, in fact, I think we contribute the biggest chunk to Korea, so.
I did read that, I just didn't know if it was still currently that way, because.
Yeah.
The renewable stuff, yeah.
Yeah, we do
Okay.
still. I think we're the largest contributor to it, so I think it's important for us to have a voice on that because. Yes, you know, to be the biggest contributor and then not have any voice is not a good situation.
Okay. Is there any further business? No further business? Meeting is adjourned.